Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond with your host, Christina George.
Hello, everybody. I guess it's night for most of you, but this is Christina George, and I am the host of Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond, and I want to welcome you, everybody, tonight to the show. We're hoping to have a great show tonight. My guest is the world-renowned known ufologist, Jose Escamilla, and many of you know him. He's been a UFO researcher for many years. He was also the one that was able to the phenomena of the actual Roswell rods. So we are looking forward to being able to, talk to him tonight, get some information about all of this. It was kind of a disservice to him was that, he's had many, many years where he's worked on, research for UFOs and so many things he's done, movies that he's directed himself, he's documentaries, he's done books, you name it, he's done it. And, all of a sudden we got the well-known show Monster Quest, which is very similar to kind of what I feel is the same as what we get when we get fake paranormal, things like that, where they're wanting to try to either prove somehow that there is nothing that they can actually prove that, the evidence that's being put up is either faked or hoaxed or, somebody's making stuff up to try to pull it over on the field. And, that becomes a real problem because not only did that happen, but we also ended up with a situation where they were trying to say that, not that Monster Quest was saying that this phenomena didn't exist. What they were trying to say more so was that they could come up with alternate reasons of why this kind of stuff was going on, and or it could possibly be something different. And so because of this, that's why we've had all the problems. So, then from there, I guess Jose's going to tell it to us more. He showed up at an event, and Joe Rogan, which is well-known celebrity as well, was on there. And he had actually seen Jose's stuff and his research and was blown away. So he recognized Joe recognized Jose's name when he had introduced himself. And on stage, he then proceeded to trash Jose Escamilla's work, saying that it was basically fake because he had seen on Monster Quest that originally he was a big fan of Jose's, but once he saw this show on Monster Quest, then all of a sudden this was the issue. And now we're running into the issue of now it had changed his mind along with many other people. So Jose was getting hate mail, death threats, you name it, you bet he got it. And, this is a field, that we find that, when you're bringing evidence and research out, people love you. But then all of a sudden, for some reason, if something was to happen and somebody on TV or mainstream media says, you're not the real deal, now all of a sudden they turn. And so for all those people that were rushing him in to speak at conferences all over the United States and, speak at all these different main events, and now all of a sudden are turned on him and don't want to have anything to say or talk to him about. So I want to go, and talk to him about that, but I also want to, talk about the backlash that is felt by people in these fields. When somebody gets upset with them, they get into an argument, they disagree with what the opinions are of that person or whatever, and the repercussions that can come from it, even if they're not true. And we're going to talk with Jose, as well as I'm going to talk a little bit about my own personal experiences of dealing with this kind of stuff. But most of all, before I start, I really want to thank all of you for joining me tonight, being part of this. You guys are amazing, because without you, I would not have a reason to do this show. So you guys are the most important. I hope that this is a topic that you guys will thoroughly enjoy tonight. We ask that, if you'd like to call in, you are, more than welcome to call in. We also have the chat room going. Now, tonight, I was having some technical difficulties, and we wanted to make sure that everything went well. So I am not going to be in the chat room. I cannot access it tonight, but my producer, Tiffany, will be in there. She'll be under DTM Radio. And if you'd like to call in tonight, you can actually call in and just listen to the show through your cell phone. But if you find something interesting and you'd like to make a comment or ask a question of either myself or Jose, feel free to call in. Our number tonight for call-ins is 818-341-8214. And with that being said, let's see if I've got my guest on the line yet. Jose, are you there? Hello? Well, maybe he's not there. For some reason, I am unable to access chat, so I'm not really sure what's going on. So we're going to keep trying, and maybe, Tiffany, if you could text message me what's going on, but we should have him on soon. But I will go ahead and, I guess, start with some of my own stuff. So for many of you who do know me, I am a psychic and a paranormal investigator, and I pretty much investigate just about anything and everything that's paranormal. It's one of those things that, it's hard enough for people to trust and believe that, number one, that you are even, a psychic, or when you're investigating the paranormal, they always think that it's somehow you're trying to pull something over on people, which is not the case. But when I first got into it, I was with another group for, a very, very long time. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to get out there. My name is starting to get out there. And I had some family members that decided that all of a sudden they wanted to really hurt me. So they started contacting people that I was working with, groups I worked with, shows I was on, events, you name it. I was hearing it from people saying they were receiving emails from random people. There was things being put on the internet, all different kinds of things. To be honest, it was really crazy. And then I, to be honest, at the beginning didn't think that too many people would believe any of this crap. But, even if they were to read it, I thought that they would be smart enough to know that it wasn't true. But boy, was, I surprised, because that really was not the case. And a lot of times people absolutely were, really doing stuff to hurt me. And, the fact that it was my own family members were kind of crazy, to be absolutely honest. But it ended up that, so I don't really let it bother me, and then I lost a few friends, because they, were the ones that would listen to whatever was said on the internet, just kind of like what's going on with. And all of this, we find out, ends up being, bull crap. I don't know what all I can say on it, on that word, but it was a bunch of bull. They were saying that, the police had been looking for me for, many years, saying that, I was under investigation for murder. You name it, they put up fake arrest records on me. I mean, I really thought that if something was going to hurt me, it was going to be that for sure. But before I knew it, I stood strong. I had the evidence. I offered it up to anybody who was willing to listen. And over time, I was able to show that what they were saying was, not that. and people were starting to see, that what they were saying was not true. It was good in a way, but yet, nobody really could understand the amount of trauma that I had to go through because of it. So the more that we went on, as I started following Jose, I started hearing a lot of the same kind of stuff that he was going through. So, once again, I'm trying to make sure that I get a hold of you because I do not have the chat room, and so I'm just wanting to make sure that everybody can hear me okay. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I'm kind of doing this blindly right now. And so if you are hearing me, can somebody text me and let me know if Jose is on the line and ready to go? Okay, so I got the okay saying everything is going good. Do we have Jose on the line? And if so, are we able to bring him on? And so in the meantime, I'm just going to keep telling you a little bit more. So, like I said, the reason that I really want to bring Jose on is that, I dealt with it with just a, upset family member. And so just imagine if you were having to, deal with it on, a larger scale. I mean, and these are your peers in the field. These are the kind of problems that, we run into. And I'm sorry, my phone was going off. And so, it looks like they need the number. So if you guys will be patient for just one moment, I will be happy to get that for you. But so, obviously, if you were to be able to do it on that scale where, you have people that turn around and they were your friends, but now all of a sudden, they're no longer your friends. Now these are the people that are trying to, continue to hurt you. So it makes it very hard, as I said, to, be in this field and have these kind of things that, people are saying about you, especially when they're not true. So I'm really hoping that tonight we're going to be able to do all of this, and I'm hoping you guys can give me just a moment because obviously I have no network access and they are needing a phone number.
The historical Fort William Henry Conference Center and Resort is a proud sponsor of DTM Wicked Radio. If you're looking for a relaxing getaway, the historical Fort William Henry Resort and Conference Center is your destination. Come enjoy the beautiful mountains, the gorgeous lake, and everything Lake George has to offer in upstate New York, right off the Adirondack Mountains. For reservations, you can go to www.fortwilliamhenry.com or call 1-800-234-0267. The Fort William Henry Resort and Conference Center is your destination for the perfect getaway.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
You're on.
Hello, I hope we are back. So we're having some problems with my phone. I really, really apologize. I am trying to get us the information as quickly as I can. So if everyone can just give me just a moment. Looks like...
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Is that you, Jose?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. We were having some problems getting you on there. So how are you?
Well, the phone number you gave me was a fax number.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I sent you over what they had sent me, and then I ended up don't have access to the internet, so I was trying to get them your number too. So I'm glad that we were able to get you connected and get you together. So I mean that's the most important thing. But so welcome. Thank you so much tonight for joining me. How are you?
Good. I am calling you from my Skype phone, and
okay.
I don't know if I'll be able to stay on too long, but we'll stay on until I run out of time. Then I'll call you from my cell phone.
Okay. Actually, if you want to send me a message, if you want to send a Skype message, then and that'll give the producer your cell phone number, and then they can call you back on that number if need be.
Okay, I just sent it to you.
All right, perfect, great. So let's go ahead and start. So I gave a little bit of an introduction about you, and I know that you are a ufologist. You've been, studying, UFOs and things like that for many, many years. And one of the things you're very well known for is actually the Roswell rods, correct?
Yes.
So can you tell us, for people that don't know, can you explain what these rods actually are?
Well, it's a phenomenon that was discovered over Roswell in Midway, New Mexico back in '94. And at first I thought they were just insects or birds, flying close to the lens of the camera. But it turns out that they are something else. They're like flying snakes, basically. And they swim through the air, much like fish. And we call them sometimes skyfish. The reason I gave them the name Roswell rods is because it was over Roswell, New Mexico, that these things were filmed. And my voice sounds raspy because I've got a sore throat and a bad toothache.
Yes, I know, and I thank you so much for being here anyway.
Oh, gosh, I'm getting my tooth pulled tomorrow at 12 noon. I go under the knife. But,
geez.
Yeah, so anyway, these things have been appearing all over the world, and we found out that they have a life cycle in the oceans. We also have footage of them taken by the Space Shuttle and the International Space Station of them coming in and out of Earth. We also have photographs of them on the Moon and on Mars. So these things, whatever they are, we're not saying it's an alien entity of some kind. I think it's a species of some kind that has the ability to traverse not only the atmosphere but the oceans and also the vacuum of space. It's an incredible phenomenon,
Wow. And so, I mean, how many years have you been, researching these?
It started March 5th, 1994. Up until that time, up back in the 60s and 70s, I was a rock and roller. We had a famous rock and roll band back in the 60s, and we saw UFOs back then, but never paid attention, and I'm from Roswell, New Mexico anyway, so, it was just like a regular thing to us. But it wasn't until March 5th, 1994, that my family and I had an actual UFO encounter in broad daylight at Midway, New Mexico, which is 9 miles south of Roswell. And I filmed 16 minutes of daytime footage of UFOs and rods and other things. And I didn't realize that we would be filming these things every day after that. But it wasn't until March 19th that I started noticing these things that we call rods now. And that's March 19th, 1994. So it's been about 19 years, going on 20.
Wow. So I mean, it wasn't like you just, saw these things and just said, oh, let me go onto the internet and, tell everybody that this is what I found. I mean, you really put a lot of time and effort and research into this, right?
Well, yeah. The first time that I filmed the UFOs was March 5th, 1994. And it wasn't until December of 1994 that I released the information about the rods because, as I stated at first, I thought they were just insects or birds, close to the lens of the camera, just like everyone else would think. But at that time, we were filming at a high shutter setting on a camcorder, and I created a thing called the sky fishing protocol, which allows you to film anything in the skies that are high velocity. Like if you throw a baseball at 80 miles an hour, and you film it using regular auto normal feature on a camcorder, like if you go and buy a camcorder out of the box that has factory settings, you can just put the tape in, put the battery in, and start filming a wedding. That's the auto normal setting. Well, that's not the type of configuration you want in your camcorder if you're going to film UFOs and high velocity objects. So there's a setting in there called the high shutter setting, and it eliminates the blurring effect caused by the auto normal setting, which is a lower shutter setting. Even though it's broad daylight, if you throw a baseball at 80 miles an hour, when you go frame by frame at an auto normal setting, it's going to be an elongated blur. But if you shoot using my sky fishing protocol, when you go frame by frame, you will see a baseball. So that's what we did. We did a lot of camera tests to make sure that I wasn't being fooled by insects or birds at first before I released the information to the public. And it was in December of 1994 that I went on TV in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it was a CBS broadcast, basically, nationwide. And I asked people to take the camcorders, set it up at the sky fishing protocol, and film for these things to see if these things were in their area too. And we got an overwhelming response because, Christmas Day, everybody's got their camcorders out filming Christmas, relatives and things. And I said, hey, take a half hour out, point your camera to the sky, set it at the high shutter setting, and film. You might film a UFO or one of these rod objects. And before you knew it, I'd say a couple of months later, we had over 19 states where we started getting reports off the internet of and videos from 19 states that they were filming these rods and also UFOs. So I started appearing on television shows. I was on Hard Copy about 5 times. I was on Sightings, the Danny Bonaducci Show, Geraldo Rivera, the Lisa Show. I did every kind of TV show imaginable, trying to put the word out that we have a new phenomena out here. And that's how the rods took on, man. And before you knew it, I had like 58 million hits on the Roswell Rods website. And, man, I did TV specials with Fox TV. I did specials with every one of the Japanese networks. We went to a place called the Cave of the Swallows, where there's a lot of rod activity. And that place in itself is just an amazing geographical monument, man. It's a pit that's located about 5,000 feet above sea level. And in prehistoric times, this mountain just caved in, and it left this pit that's shaped like a bell. And it's so deep you can fit the Empire State Building in it. And what's amazing about the Cave of the Swallows, and it's called, in Spanish, it's called Sótano de los Golondrinas. What's amazing about it is that millions of birds or swallows emerge from the cave every morning between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning, and they come out of the cave. Now remember, this is about 1,600 feet deep, and they come out in a vortex. They form like a cyclonic flight path as they come out, and then they head towards the Gulf of Mexico to go eat and to hunt and stuff, But it's an incredible, spectacular sight. It takes them about 45 minutes to come out of there. in this vortex, all right? And at that point in time, there are no insects that hang around because swallows eat insects on the wing. I mean, they'll chase an insect down and nail it, right away. So there's no insects, but we have footage of rods flying through the swarm of millions of swallows as they're coming out. There's, 1, 2, 3 foot long rods that fly through them unaffected. And I've been there about 5 times. I really don't want to go there anymore because people in Mexico drive nuts, man. They're the worst drivers. And it's a mountainous road. You go up these mountains, and there's only a 2-way lane, and they don't have guardrails or anything, but they do have crosses where people have been run over or where people have had car collisions because these crazy drivers, man, that drove us to the mountain, they'll pass a truck on the curve, not knowing what's coming on the other side, totally drove me crazy. But this cave is incredible, and there is rod activity there for whatever reason, and they're there every day. I mean, it's an amazing place. Yeah, and it wasn't until I saw this footage of base jumpers jumping in there that I contacted the producers of Fox TV, and we've gotten some amazing footage out of that cave. I'm sorry, my voice is kind of cracking.
Well, we had a message from the chat room, and they're wanting to know if you actually have a website that they can access to, other than Facebook, that they can take a look at any of your work from.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have. There's RoswellRods.com, RoswellRods.com. That's the main Roswell Rods website, and on that page you're going to see an experience I had with Joe Rogan in Las Vegas on the 5th of July, where I introduced myself. He knew who I was, and I like Joe Rogan. I'm a total MMA fan. I'm into the martial arts, mixed martial arts fighting, the UFC. Mm-hmm. And my friend and I were there for the UFC Fan Expo because we wanted to go there and meet all the fighters. And we met everybody, man. Bruce Buffer, and I even told Bruce Buffer, who's the guy that makes, the announcements at the beginning of each fight. He said he's seen UFOs, and he's very interested in possibly working with me on my film, Roswell Rods, which is a new movie that I'm doing. So anyway, I go there and approach Joe Rogan, and he goes, "Oh, you're the guy with the rods, aren't you?" And I go, "Yeah." He said, "Well, it didn't go too well for you." And he goes on to tell about Monster Quest and how they debunked the rods. Well, I did a video, so you can go to RoswellRods.com right now, and you can see Joe Rogan talking me down actually about the rods. But I made that video specifically for him. I haven't heard back from him yet, but it shows you how Monster Quest. I was on Monster Quest back in 2007. They filmed me, and they promised to do a really good show on me, but what they did is they debunked me, man. They lied to me, and they lied. Is that a duck? And I heard a quack, sorry. Anyway, you can go there, RoswellRods.com, you can see the video, and you're going to see some incredible new evidence that we have of rods. Underwater footage taken by a gentleman, his name is Eli Martinez out of Texas, that was in the Barbados area, and they were rescuing sharks. And he filmed some rods under the water, 60 feet down, and it's just like the rods that you see in the sky, but they're underwater. But you can go there. The other website is TBLN Films, and that's 4 letters. That's T as in Tom, B as in Bob, L as in Larry, N as in Nancy, Films, FILMS.com. That's where you'll be able to see my movies. I'm setting up a membership section where you can see all my films there. But your listeners can go there right now and at least see the the promos and the trailers for the new Roswell Rods movie, which I'm in production on, and other things.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, I do want to just let everybody know, because from what I'm getting, the information I'm getting, our chat room is packed. So if anybody has any questions through the show for either Jose or myself, we would encourage you to call us. The call-in number is 818-341-8214, and we're pretty much open to whatever kind of questions you have. And you're talking about Joe Rogan and the kind of the video that you did in response to that, and I actually posted that in our chat room, and I got a lot of feedback about that, and see, that was the thing that for me, and before we even connected and had you on the show, I was telling about how I had even my own personal experiences, and it's really unfortunate that you get shows, like Monster Quest or really any show, that tends to try to debunk the research that people have done into different areas, different fields of, paranormal phenomena. And, having mainstream media, program go on and say, I watched that, Monster Quest episode very carefully, and what I got out of it was much different than what Joe was getting out of it, because Joe seemed to be under the assumption that Monster Quest was saying that this is not a real phenomena, like basically that you made this stuff up and it's like a big hoax.
Right.
But I did not get that from what Monster Quest got. I got what they were saying is that they were saying, well, this could be another possibility of what this shows, but they didn't say anywhere specifically that, we have been able to, know 100% that this is what this is. They just gave a bunch of assumptions that, well, it could possibly be this or it could possibly be that. But even what they were saying possibly could be something different was much different from your film, because you were saying in Monster Quest, they didn't give all the correct information. They were not doing the tests and, trying to redo everything, exactly the way you did it, but they weren't using the correct speeds, shutter speeds, and things like that. Isn't that correct?
Well, yeah, but you know what, Christina? What everyone saw on Monster Quest, it's called a soft shoe or a soft sell. What they do is they kind of make you believe that they're on your side, but at the same time, they're stabbing you in the back. Okay, they're lying to you. So they made it seem like, well, it could be this, but here's what we found. And what they do, it's called a soft shoe. They're dancing in front of you, and they're deceiving you at the same time without you getting it. It's just like you just stated. I didn't get what you said on your video. What I got is that they were saying it might be this, it might be this, it could be this. But what they did is they basically said rods are nothing but insects. That's all they did. That's what their goal was, even though they presented all this evidence and all these little scenarios and everything else, but it was all the wrong information. And they deliberately did that because they know how to make a TV show, they know how to keep a viewer attached to the TV set, and they know how to manipulate. And that's what I'm saying is they gave you guys the soft sell, the soft shoe, while at the same time they deceived you. And this is why I made the video with Joe Rogan, because even Joe Rogan himself, who's a very intelligent person, all right, he got hoodwinked. He believed that rods are nothing but insects, that I'm faking it and all that. And that's the conclusion he came to after seeing the Monster Quest episode, while not getting the key elements of what they did the way I've pointed out in the video that I did, because that's everything else that they did. Granted, they presented the evidence and they danced around it. They glossed over it, they like they did with the shuttle footage. And said, well, this could be space debris, probably space debris. I mean, they did all those kinds of different routines to keep you glued to the set and to implant your head and your brain with, oh, that's just space debris. What they didn't tell you is that the space footage was shot using ultraviolet cameras. All right?
Okay.
Ultraviolet cameras do not film. You don't see anything that's in the ultraviolet spectrum. It's invisible to the naked eye. See, if they would have gone into detail on just on the space footage alone, people would have found out, oh, wow, that's infrared ultraviolet footage. These cameras detect things that are leaving a heat message or a heat print that are invisible to the naked eye. Space debris is cold, okay? It does not emit heat. But see, they didn't say that because they knew if they told that to the viewing audience, it would kill their insect theory. You understand what I'm saying, Christina?
Absolutely, 100%. And, I see this exact same thing, and this is something I talk about all the time on my shows, is, about putting too much credence into what these TV shows say. Because even with the paranormal, you get the same kind of situation where you'll get people that... Go ahead.
Unfortunately for us, or for the viewing audience, people like Joe Rogan, who I like Joe Rogan. I think he's hilarious. I don't idolize him. I mean, I'm not starstruck by him. I've known many major stars and people, that I've met over the years. Joe Rogan just happens to be a favorite personality of mine. But even he's doing this show with Sci-Fi Channel now, which I think debuts tonight. It's called Joe Rogan Questions Everything. And it's about Bigfoot, it's about UFOs, ghosts, the whole shebang. It wouldn't surprise me that he does rods, but it's a skeptical show. I mean, he goes on and he says, I've been into UFOs, I believe in that stuff, but I'm also a skeptic and I question things. So this is a new TV show on Sci-Fi Channel called Joe Rogan Questions Everything, and his slogan is, now I know how people are nuts. There's nuts out there. And the promo shows a lady that has seen a Bigfoot, allegedly, and he said, well, what do they sound like? And she goes, she makes a stupid noise.
Right.
And she's acting wacky, she's acting wacky. I mean, I would never do that. I would never say, well, rods make these kind of sounds. I'd approach it in a different manner. But that's the thing. It's like Joe Rogan is a well-known personality. He's seen by millions of viewers on the Ultimate Fighting Championships, which I am a fan of that series. I'm a fan of Joe Rogan's. But he might be misleading people. And anyone that has a network television show, either with History Channel, Discovery, Sci-Fi Channel, there are certain guidelines they are given. Otherwise, you don't get a show. You don't see them offering me a TV series, do you? You know why?
Oh, right.
Because I tell the truth, man. I'm not going to bend down. I mean, okay, let's talk about James Fox. You know who he is.
I sure do.
Okay? He's a great guy. I've known James for many, many years, and a great producer and everything else. He got a TV series, but he was disappointed because he was told to do certain things that he disagreed with, but it was either that or not have a TV show. So he's a disgruntled filmmaker, producer that has experienced the wrath of having your own network show.
Oh,
for
absolutely.
For whatever reason, anyone that has a network television show has to follow the guidelines. Everything is scripted for them. They just do what they're told. They get a handsome paycheck,
Right.
But like Joe Rogan, unfortunately, is doing this new series, and I'm getting a hold of Joe. I mean, I haven't tried to get a hold of him yet. I've got channels, though. I've got ways to get a hold of him. And I am, because I know he's a very busy guy. He's doing all these comedy dates, and he's doing a series. But eventually I'm going to hook up with him and say, all right, you owe me a public apology, Joe Rogan. And he does. And he's going to know
I believe so, too.
Yeah, because, first of all, he had misleading information that drew him to that conclusion that he did about me in front of 500 people in Las Vegas at this auditorium. I mean, they all laughed at me because he said, well, then Monster Quest comes on and they find out they're nothing but insects. And I go, oh, jeez, here we go, And it's like, he owes me a public apology, and he's going to know it because I'm not going to let it rest. I'm the kind of guy that when I go after something, I go full steam, man, full throttle, and I'm going after Joe Rogan.
Well, and I am 100% behind you. Jose, what was crazy was that when I decided that I wanted you to be, I've had, I actually did another show on another network, and when I switched networks, I kept my Paranormal Connections show, but I changed the name of the UFO show. So this was the first show, for this network. And when I had announced that I was going to have you on the show, I had a lot of great feedback, but I also got a lot of people telling me, they couldn't believe that I'm so easily hoodwinked into believing, what you say, that I need to do more research about you and all this kind of stuff. Well, I will tell you that I definitely, I have followed you for a long time, although I just friend requested you recently, and I've been following this, and when I saw the whole Joe Rogan thing, it really kind of irritated me with the fact that, people don't understand that, especially people in the, that are celebrities or known on TV, that what they say can be so powerful. And by him stating, wow, when I first saw all your evidence, Jose, I was amazed, and I was so excited, and I was telling everybody until I saw Monster Quest, and it changed everything. Now I know that it's just a bug, and I was like, what? You got to be kidding me. Like, this is not, I can't let this happen.
and you know what, Christina, what's amazing, you don't realize, Burt Reynolds knows me. He's a fan of mine. I was told this by Dr. Barry Tapp. You know who Barry Tapp is?
Uh-huh.
A paranormal investigator, a ghost investigator.
Yes, I know exactly what it is.
Yeah, I've known Barry for many years, and I went and saw him at one of his presentations, and he says, Jose, you look just like Burt Reynolds. He says, as a matter of fact, Burt Reynolds is a fan of yours, man. He follows your rods and UFO work and all this. Burt Reynolds, are you kidding me? So it's just amazing. You just don't know who knows about you, And for Joe Rogan to say that to my face in front of these 500 people audience, that they're nothing but insects, the only information he was going on was the information laid out for him by Monster Quest. Just like all of the Jose Escamilla haters out there, all the people that call me a fraud, that call me a hoaxer, and all that kind of stuff, it's all based on the Monster Quest show, okay? They have nothing else to base it on because they have not sat with me and seen the evidence as it presents itself. Instead, they've looked at the Monster Quest episode. There's been a couple of shows, Fake or Fact. There's also, what was the name of that show done by the Unsolved Mysteries people? I can't remember the name, but they've all based that on Monster Quest, okay? A lot of viewers saw the episode, and they go, that's it. They're nothing but insects because they filmed it at night, okay?
Right.
They didn't do the daylight test because there's no hummingbirds that showed up, and if they had consulted me and done it the right way, and if they had had the integrity, as I mentioned in the video, if they had any class, and if they were being truthful, they would have shown everything in its right perspective, not glossed over the space footage and said that's space debris. There's no way, man. Those were infrared footage, man. Those things are not seen by the naked eye. Okay?
Well,
and then we have infrared footage.
Well, this leads me to a question then, so what I tend to see a lot is that, people that are researching stuff that is not important and is, really of no, it won't hurt anything if it's, revealed. But then you get other people who reveal certain things, whether it be in the, the paranormal side or the UFO side, and you'll notice that all of a sudden they start encountering a lot of problems and a lot of people, trying to debunk them or trying to discredit them. Now, do you think that, maybe you tapped into something, discovering something that maybe, that our government doesn't want us to know, just like, with all the stuff that they hide with the UFOs? from us?
Well, here's the thing, Christina. I have discovered what is appearing to be a life form that has capabilities unlike any other species on the planet. They can swim through the air. They can traverse the air and the oceans, and obviously they are in space. They can travel in space. We have photographs of them taken on Mars, of Mars and the moon. So these things, whatever they are, and I'm not saying they're alien. See, here's the deal, Christina. I have kept rods out of the alien aspect for many years. You know why? Because you cannot prove aliens exist. You can't prove aliens exist. Even though there are people and whistleblowers that work within the government that say, look, there's 9-foot aliens among us, there's aliens posing as human beings, blah, 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 blah. Until you get evidence and proof, you're barking up the wrong tree. You're going to be laughed at. So
right.
I've kept rods in a species aspect, an unknown species, just like you find an unknown jellyfish in the ocean, and there are many of those. There are many types of fish and species that are being discovered daily. Even in the insect world, there's insects that you've never seen before. I mean, there's whole colonies of spiders that exist on the tops of trees, you know, in the jungles of the Amazon that you've never even seen. You know, there's all sorts of insects and things. So I've kept it as a biological entity of some kind, all right? I've never said it's alien. And I think that, one of the things that happened was the New York sighting of a rod that flew right over the airport there in Long Island, I believe it was. And it went over our airspace after 9/11. There's this rod that flew right over the airport, and it was filmed by a cameraman that was just filming airplanes taking off, you know, for the weather. You know how they do the weather and they do a backdrop of a live scene from an airport or the hills or whatever? This poor camera guy, his name was Brandon. He was filming a jet taking off, and then he captured a rod that flew right above the jet, through the scene, through the clouds, and it looked like a missile, okay? So the FBI went to the TV studio and confiscated the tape, and they tried to make him confess that he had faked it. That's how crazy it was, because here you had something that looked like a missile that flew over our airspace there in New York. Am I still on? Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I heard a blip here. But anyway, they took this poor guy and they drilled him. They said, you faked that. That's what the story is. You faked it. They took the footage, took it to Fort Hood, the base in Texas, and they never did an analysis release. They did an analysis. They never released what the information was. Believe me, if it would have just been an insect, they would have released that. But the military did not release anything about that footage. They confiscated the footage. They took his footage from him. And all he was doing...
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So, I mean, if there have been other, you know, sightings and, you know, people are showing up, they're confiscating, you know, video evidence of it. They're kindly trying to, you know, make sure that people, you know, refute their what they've said and all these different things. Don't you think that's, I mean, maybe you guys are onto something really big then?
Oh, yeah. I think there's a concerted effort to keep the rods as insects misfilmed. That's it. There's nothing to it. And I have a big surprise for them. They're not insects unless there's insects underwater, you know, under the oceans. Then we have a problem here because, you know, we got footage of them in space shot by infrared cameras, which film nothing but invisible entities. And we have them in the oceans, just as you saw in the Joe Rogan footage. You've got that footage that the guy took in the Barbados Ocean where they were rescuing sharks. I mean, that's a rod under the water. It's not an insect. Come on, man. So, but there's people out there, Christina, that still believe the Monster Quest show, even after you show them the evidence. But that's just their problem. I don't care about those types. I mean, they're poor souls that are misled, and they'll believe the single bullet theory of the John F. K. assassination, JFK. They believe that it was Lee Harvey Oswald and that was it. When you know doggone well, there was more than one shooter. I mean, they calculated there was 7 bullets shot that day.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, I mean, it's
like
completely.
Yeah, and it's like the 9/11 thing. You know, the official thing. Osama bin Laden did it. Okay, then why did the Illuminati perform a ritual at Ground Zero, televised live by CBS? Have you ever seen that footage? Of course
I haven't.
not. But you can go on my website, youtube.com/Jose Escamilla, type in the word "out of chaos."
Wow.
OUTOFCHAOS, and you will see exactly what was happening when George W. Bush was at the elementary school and what the kids were chanting. It's going to blow people away. This is the stuff the networks didn't show you, but I got it. And then at the end, you're going to see how CBS televised a group of people, and they performed, and they formed the Eye of Horus at Ground Zero. You know what the Eye of Horus is?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
It's the eye that you see on the dollar bill above the pyramid, the Illuminati sign.
Right.
They performed that ritual. They just claimed Ground Zero. All right? And this was televised live on CBS. And if Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein and they all conspired to do this, fine. That was part of the Illuminati thing. And George Bush is deep in it, man. So is Dick Cheney. So is George Herbert Walker Bush, just like he's involved in the JFK assassination. And episode 2 of Out of Chaos shows you how Osama bin Laden, you might as well call him bin Laden, President Obama is a cousin of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. Did you know that?
I did not.
You did not? Well, guess who tells it? Dick Cheney's wife. I opened part 2 of Out of Chaos with Dick Cheney's wife bragging about her new book on the Today Show or whatever it is. And she goes, the lineage, Dick Cheney and George W. Bush are cousins. And guess who else is a cousin of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney? Obama. President Barack Obama is a cousin. So no wonder he's doing things damaging our Constitution and our rights. He's part of the same bloodline. Believe me, there are no black people allowed in a White House. You have to be a blue blood. You have to be part of the bloodline. And Barack Obama is a cousin of George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, John Kerry, and all those bozos. They're all part of the master plan to enslave us. People don't know this. People don't know this. Joe Rogan doesn't know because he hasn't seen my videos.
Well, and hopefully, with, my show, with my listeners, like I said, it did bring up a lot of interest as far as, the topic and all of this. So I would hope that, any of the listeners out there, who can go to Jose's website, check out his videos. You see for yourself. I mean, I don't care about people having opinions. I'm like Jose. I'm not here to prove to anybody, like with me, like I'm not here to prove I'm a psychic. I'm not here to prove that, I'm a legit researcher. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm not here to become famous. I'm here to get the information out. And so, all I want is for people, if they're going to make decisions based on things, at least make informed decisions. Don't just go along with what everybody else thinks is true.
Yeah,
because
don't
that
go
way.
with don't go with the sleeple.
Right.
They used to be a term. John Lennon said the sheeple. The sheep follow the wolf.
Correct.
But no, these sleeple. These are people that are asleep. You know,
right,
they believe
and they really need to wake up for sure.
Yeah, they're fast asleep. Now, here's the deal. You and I, Christina, what I love about you is that you're not trying to hard sell and implant people with your philosophies and things of this nature. You're just presenting the evidence as it presents itself.
That's right.
That's what I do. All my movies that I've made, I have 12 of them out there. All the movies that I've done, I've never made anything up.
Right.
What I've done, even the Out of Chaos series, which is a compilation film of stuff that's on YouTube, because, you know, I started looking at George W. Bush. He was promoting a couple of years ago. He was going to be on National Geographic Channel, and, you know, he's saying, well, you know, I saw this plane hit, and I called my staff, and he was lying out his nose. And I was angry. I said, you know what? I'm going to put together a film that just shows you the kind of jerk you are and the liar that you are. And I did. Out of Chaos is information that's on YouTube that your viewers are not going to ever see all the evidence that's out there because there's so much and it's so separated. You know, it's not in one piece. So what I did is I compiled everything in a cohesive manner where when you see it, now it makes sense to you. Do you understand, Christina?
Oh, I absolutely do.
And that's what I've done with Out of Chaos. That series is, I didn't film the stuff. I didn't produce it. All I did was I compiled it in a cohesive way that it leads up to what is going on with all this evidence that's out there that's being brought out that people aren't seeing because it's too scattered. So I put it together in a way where you go, holy cow, I didn't know that's what the kids were saying. You know,
right.
Out of Chaos. When George W. Bush was at the elementary school, do you know what the kids were chanting? They were chanting kite, plane, steel, hit, must. Okay? And the Illuminati and everybody, all these secret societies, they talk backwards. But basically what they were saying is kite, plane, which means remote-controlled plane, must hit steel. That's what they were chanting in front of George W. Bush that morning. People don't realize. Wow. And then George W. Bush holds the My Pet Goat book upside down. And then later, there's a little girl reading a book called America, and he's holding the book upside down, like down with America, like as if he's subliminally giving a message to those that are in the know, viewing what he's doing. I mean, he's not that stupid. He is dumb, but he's that stupid. And he's holding the book upside down. That means down with America. Okay? Yeah. And this is when the kids are saying, kite plane must hit steel. I mean, why would they chant that? And who's the one that was in control of that? The kids saying that. I mean, come on, man. When you look at Out of Chaos, all your listeners, I want you guys to check it out, at least episode 1 and 2. I know once you see those, you're going to want to see the rest. It's a 6-part series, very informative. You see Barack Obama flashing the satanic sign. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, man. You know Napoleon Bonaparte, where he has his hand inside his coat?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that is a Masonic symbol. That is a satanic Masonic symbol that not only Napoleon Bonaparte does, but so do George W. Bush, all these world leaders, even Putin, man, the Russian guy, they're doing the same hand signal inside the coat. That's a coded message, man. People don't realize what's going on. Symbology, the symbols involved in all around us are all pertaining to the Illuminati and satanic worship. I mean, rap stars, even Beyonce and Jay-Z, they claim, they agree that they're part of the Illuminati. They're part of that. They form the triangle, the eye. I mean, there's just so much symbology going on, and people just need to wake up.
Yeah, and once you're aware of it, you know, you'll start seeing it more and more, especially in the music industry. You see, you know, a lot of these nobodies all of a sudden are super somebodies, and then you start seeing a lot of the symbology in their videos, and they're very blatant with it. But because people, you know, aren't really aware, they just kind of pass and don't even, you know, give it a second thought. But we're getting some questions coming in from the chat room, so I want to get a few of those touched on, and then we'll get back to this towards the end, because I actually find this, part of it very, very interesting. But I want to make sure our listeners in chat can get their questions answered. So one of them is about the rods, and they're wanting to know about how big are these rods as far as in size, and what are the ranges of sizes?
They're anywhere from 6 to 8 inches up to 100 or more feet in length.
100 feet?
At least, yeah.
Wow. So some of these could be, obviously pretty large. And now you're saying that we're seeing these, up in the air. We're seeing them underwater now. I do want to touch on that, because that was something that a lot of people that know about you, Jose, and know about your work did not know about this extra evidence that you were able to pull in and receive from some other people that, they sent to you and said, look, we think we've got something too. And what I was amazed with is at the end, when you were showing the new evidence, was the underwater footage of when they're with the sharks and they start going around, and you start seeing these things and they catch them on film, and they literally can see them with their own naked eye, right?
Exactly. But, Christina, one of the major shots of rods ever taken was back in 2006 by CBS live during a Tiger Woods PGA tournament. Now, here's the thing. In 2006, it was August or October 2006, I can't recall, but me and some fellow rod men and rod girls, we were at a local pub in Studio City called the Oyster House. It was one of our haunts, okay? And we heard that CBS was going to test out a brand-new high-definition camera that could stop a bullet. It filmed at 5,000 to 10,000 frames per second, but it was the first time that CBS was going to film Tiger Woods doing his golf swing in broad daylight using this special brand-new camera. So the reason we took interest in it is because we go, hey, high-definition, full broadcast quality, 5,000 to 10,000 frames per second. Imagine us getting access to this type of camera, renting it for a couple of days, taking it to Roswell, New Mexico, where the rod activity is like humongous, and filming rods in super slow motion. You understand, Christina? So we all got together at the bar, and we're having a couple of beers, and here it finally comes, man. Tiger Woods does a swing, whack, and they go, all right, now for the first time in history, we're going to show Tiger Woods swing at 5,000 frames per second, super slow motion. So they replayed his swing, and I remember he was wearing a black pants and a red shirt or a maroon shirt, whatever. So anyway, he takes the swing, and it's in super slow motion, okay? And the golf club is not blurred at all. When we go frame by frame, 5,000 frames per second, they clocked his swing at 125 miles an hour. Then he hits the ball, the golf ball. It takes off at 80 miles an hour, and then it gains speed and catches up to 95 miles an hour before going off screen. Okay?
Wow.
Now, this is all in super slow motion. Now, before the ball takes off from the tee, and let's say like it's about 2 feet off the ground, a white rod flies through the scene above Tiger Woods' head faster than anything in the scene. It just goes boom, zip. And all of us in the bar, we point to the screen, go, rod, okay? Now, I'm talking about super slow motion, and there's a white rod about 18 or 20 inches in length, in perfect focus. You can see the undulations. It flies right over Tiger Woods' head. It beats the ball before it gets to 95 miles an hour off screen. It has zipped through the scene faster than anything in the super slow motion scene. So all those years, since 2006, I've been trying to get the footage from CBS. Well, when I started doing pre-production on Roswell Rods of the Film, I contacted CBS. I contacted CBS many years ago. They said, well, it's going to cost you $45,000 for the footage to license it, if we license it to you. So about 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, I contacted CBS again, and I said, guys, I need to license this footage for my documentary. I don't have that much money. They said, well, here's what you're going to have to do. Because it was broadcast live, you're going to have to get a subpoena, okay? I'm going to have to get a subpoena through a court to request the footage, and whether or not they accommodate that subpoena is another thing. But if they do, then I'm going to have to pay them $45,000 to license that particular footage, to put it in my documentary. Are you kidding me? $45,000, I could do about 8 documentaries, you know.
Right.
But the guy at CBS News Department felt kind of sorry for me. He says, I'll tell you what, Jose, I'm going to give you a secret. I'm not going to mention his name. He'll get fired. But he said, here's a company. He gave me the phone number. Call this company. What these guys do is they do a thing called air checks, okay? And what happens is CBS pays them if they want to archive. These guys archive everything that's broadcast by CBS and a few other networks. And when CBS does say like they want to do a Tiger Woods special and they need footage from 2006, they contact this company because CBS is not going to archive it. They got too much stuff happening. So they call this company and say, hey, we need a digital print of Tiger Woods playing golf in Minnesota or wherever. So they deliver the digital print. And he says, and guess what? These guys own the rights. So you can, instead of going through a subpoena process and through CBS, which they're going to contact this company anyway and pay them $2,000 or $3,000 for the print that you're going to pay $45,000 for. So just call them, get them to send you the footage, and you're going to only pay $2,000 or $3,000 for the rights.
Wow.
And you can use it in your documentary. So now I have access to that footage of Tiger Woods in super slow motion that without a doubt proves rods are real. Okay? And so, but it's going to cost me $2,000 or $3,000 to buy that, which I don't have that money right now. And this is why I ask for donations and contributions to make my films, because I don't have the money to purchase the stuff to make my films because of the Monster Quest episode. The Monster Quest episode killed my business. They killed my DVD sales. They killed my streaming video sales because people think I'm hoaxing this stuff, man. So I basically had to start over, and this is a start. So your viewers and your listeners have to realize the Monster Quest episode really, really hurt me financially. It hurt me business-wise because people think I'm a hoaxer, and I am not, Christina. I'm not a hoaxer. Now, when I get this footage, man, the CBS footage of Tiger Woods with a rod flying through, that's going to be Nobel Prize time because I proved that there is a species among us shot in high-speed film that is of an unknown origin, but it is a living species of some kind. And once I get that, I can apply for a Nobel Prize. And guess what, baby? Nobel Prize is $1 million cash and a $5 million gold medallion. Now, years ago, back in 1995, 96, people said, Jose, you should get the Nobel Prize for discovering a new species. And I go, come on, man. Are you kidding me? I didn't play that game, okay? I was not into that. But now I am, damn it. You know, this is a brand new species of some kind. They're giving Nobel Prizes to George W. Bush, Barack Obama for screwing us. I might as well get one for discovering a new species. So I'm going to go for it.
I completely agree, and I completely back you, and, you know, I hope that all of my listeners as well will, you know, stand behind you, you know, look at the videos, get the information, make a decision, and if, you know, you think that Jose is on the right track, you completely stand behind him, and I really think that he's onto something. I think, they don't try to silence this kind of stuff this hard if it's not something that they don't want us to know, and I see it over and over and over. And, we have to stop, just listening to what people say is true and just taking it as, well, just because somebody else says it's true, it must be true, so I'll completely change my mind about something. That's crazy. I mean, how can you change your mind and you don't even have the, the correct information to start with, but now, you're making it on assumption of somebody else. We've got a few more questions. They're asking... So first of all, so these are being seen in the daytime and nighttime. And so I take it that you're not, at nighttime, you're not needing the, per se, like the night vision goggles. You guys are doing it on a completely different spectrum, right? So you're doing it on the infrared, correct?
Okay, first of all, I am not a proponent of filming at night. The reason being, and that's what Monster Quest did, they deliberately shot at night, because that compromises the quality of the imagery that you see on a camcorder. It compromises the amount of light coming into the camera. You have to shoot at low shutter setting. Anything that flies before the lens is going to be an elongated blur. So I encourage, do not shoot at night. Doggone it, shoot in broad daylight, man. Set it at the high shutter setting, and you eliminate all the other crap. All right, so I do not go with...
You're saying that okay, hold on just a second, because I want to make sure that people understand this. So you're saying that, instead of trying to catch these rods during nighttime with, it needing to be on a low shutter speed, instead you should do it in the daytime and on, the highest shutter speed, and that these things, you will be able to see them. They will be caught, correct? I mean, is there only certain places that you see these things, or... I mean, can anybody capture these in their backyard or where they go?
These things are all over. They're in different areas. And the reason I call it sky fishing is because one day they're in certain areas of the sky. The next day you'll see nothing. They're behind you. I mean, it's sky fishing, man. You're out there fishing. It's just like you're fishing for fish in the ocean. They're biting one day in a certain area. The next day they're in a different part of the lake. But,
okay, now what about if they're, scuba diving? Because they've now captured this underwater. What kind of camera was used to, film that?
Well, here's the thing. Eli Martinez, who's the guy with Skydiver magazine, he's the one that sent me the footage. He uses GoPro cameras and high definition video cameras underwater. All right.
Okay.
And whatever's traveling at this velocity, they're definitely not insects, and they're definitely not fish. You can tell what a fish looks like. He said these things are so fast, blinding fast, you don't see them with the naked eye. It's just like in the skies. Now, the reason I don't like nighttime footage, although, here's the deal. Even at night, if you do shoot at night, rods have a specific footprint. They have a certain pattern of what they look like at night, just like insects. Insects at night, they are very long. They leave a real long print of their flight. A rod shot at night is shorter, more compact, and very fast, even at night. However, I discourage people from shooting at night because of the Monster Quest stuff. All right? That's how they debunked rods. They showed rods in a high-speed camera and then with a regular camcorder at night. You don't do that. Right. You shoot in broad daylight. Do it the hard way, too.
And then they feel that just because they were able to replicate it, that obviously means that it must not be true or it must not be real because they're able to replicate it.
But they did not replicate it, Christina. That's what the whole deal is. They did not replicate the flight of a rod. What they proved was this is the flight of an insect shot at night. They did not replicate a rod.
Right.
All right? In broad daylight, they might have made that paintball look elongated, but that's on the auto normal setting of the camera. Had they set that camera up in a high shutter setting, that paintball would not have been an elongated blur. It would have been a round paintball, just like I've stated, man. If they would have shot that paintball using my sky fishing protocol, high shutter setting, it would not have been an elongated blur. They used the auto-normal in broad daylight, and that's what I'm talking about. It's like if they would have consulted me and taken me out on the field, I would have taken them where there's rod activity all the time, and they would have caught rods in a high-speed camera and in the regular camcorder using my sky fishing protocol, and guess what? Both cameras would have matched. That's the plain and simple truth, you know? And that's the thing. They did not replicate a rod, all right? They faked a rod by shooting a moth.
Right, which did absolutely look different from when I looked at your film that you had done. You could definitely see there was a definite difference. Now, do you find that these things have any intelligence to them? I mean, do you think that this is some type of new species, or do you think it is alien in origin because of the fact that you say they've been seen on the moon and Mars and in space, right?
No, they're not alien. I've never categorized them as alien. I've always said
that's my question. That's my question, is that you said that they've been seen on the moon and Mars, and I've seen a few videos where they're seeing these rod-type things in space. Is this the same thing, do you think, that they are seeing, out here and they're capturing on video? Because they look very similar to the ones that I've seen in space.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're alien. I mean, we don't know what they are. We don't know the species. We don't know the brand of species they are. We just know that they do have a cycle in the oceans. They have a life cycle in the skies. They appear to be able to fly in space, on the moon and Mars. I mean, we got photographic evidence. We just don't know the origin of the species. Okay?
Right.
We don't know if they're interdimensional. We don't know if they're from a parallel universe, and we don't know if they're from outer space. We just know of what the evidence presents itself as. And the evidence says these things are able to traverse our atmosphere, our oceans, our space above Earth, the moon, Mars, and who knows wherever else. Okay?
Gotcha.
I have shots of rods flying near the sun, taken by NASA. I don't make this stuff up. The thing is what am I going to say? They're aliens? I can't say that. I don't even know.
I'm not per se saying aliens as far as little green men or anything like that, but I mean I'm more saying it's alien is the fact that it's not something that we know about here, but it does seem to be from space, so it would be more, I would assume, alien in
Okay, Christina, I'm going to bail you out, baby. Here's what I'm going to say. Rather than saying they're of alien to us, which is, they're unknown, it's better to say it's a species of life form that we do not understand where they come from. They're unknown origin. You can't say
so wouldn't that
alien,
be the description of, if we were talking about aliens as far as grays or any other ones? I mean, it's the same thing. Once again, something we don't understand and we don't know where they come from, but we know it's not from here,
I know, but once you give it the connotation of an alien entity, people are so dumb out there that they're going to think, oh, you're saying they're aliens like grays or whatever. So
gotcha.
I don't do
I understand.
That.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Well, so I'm getting another question here. Hold on.
Unknown origin. That's better.
People in chat are, I guess, just switching a little bit. What are your thoughts of Area 51? And do you think that there is anyone there being held there?
I have no idea because I've never been there and I've never spoken to anyone that's been there, so I'm the wrong person to ask about Area 51. I have not studied that.
But you know what? I actually, I think that that's a great answer, because there are a lot of people that just because they know a lot about one, aspect or two aspects, that people then tend to think that they must know about everything related UFO or alien related. And so I'm glad, for you to say, like, I don't know. I mean, now do you think that these things originated, outside of our planet came here, or do you think that, they originated here and they can just travel, to other planets and things like that?
Well, it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up because in that Joe Rogan video, I present an entomologist who is like Vito Corleone, the Godfather,
right?
Of insects. This is the go-to guy. If you want to get a guy killed, a guy hit, you go to Vito Corleone, the Godfather. Well, Dr. Robin Wootton out of Exeter University of Exeter in London, he's the go-to guy about insects, entomologists. He knows everything about insects. Now, here's the deal. 500 million years ago was the Big Bang of evolution. That's when life just appeared on Earth, 500 million years ago, according to paleontology and archaeology, all that stuff. 350 million years ago, which is called the Precambrian period, insects showed up out of the blue. They just appeared. There is no evolutionary trace that insects came out of the oceans and emerged into the sky, or they were creepy crawly things that went into the sky and entered the oceans. I mean, they just appeared 350 million years ago. Now, you would think that the prehistoric ancestor of today's insects is a giant dragonfly, correct? Mm-hmm. That's what I thought, until Dr. Robin Wootton out of the University of Exeter in London built a model of what he thinks. Now, this is a guy that knows insects inside out, and he's in that video, the Joe Rogan video I did. He said he built a model, and guess what it looks like? It looks like a rod. He says this is the prehistoric ancestor of today's insects. Now, the irony behind this, Christina, is that we're over here trying to prove that rods are not misfilmed insects, but yet they could very well be a prehistoric ancestor of today's insects. That's what the rods look like, according to this entomologist out of London. And you can see that in the video, the Joe Rogan video that I did. He shows a model that he commissioned physicists or whatever there at Exeter to build a model, and he tosses it from a stepladder, and this thing actually flies. And guess what? It's got little winglets along the torso just like a rod. And he says this is the 350 million-year-old ancestor to today's insects. So, like I said, there's an irony here. Here I am, 2013, trying to explain away, look, insects are not rods. Rods are not insects, misfilmed. Yet here's the entomologist, the godfather of entomology, saying, look, the 350 million-year-old ancestor of insects looks like a rod. So maybe what we're seeing is the prehistoric ancestor still living among us that emerged from the oceans from a creature called Anomalocharus, which was the biggest predator in the oceans, bigger than sharks, man, back in the Precambrian period. There are no fossil remains of it. They don't know what happened to it, but they know it existed. They don't know if Anomalocharus flew out of the oceans, evolutionary-wise, became a proto-pterygote, which is the creature that is the predecessor of today's insects that became insects later in life after it evolved. So we don't know. That's the bottom line is it's a life form that we don't know its origin. It is very arrogant for us to think that this species is earthbound, from Earth, and maybe not from outer space. Maybe they came here from outer space, or maybe they came here from another dimension, a parallel universe. Now, check this out, Christina. Do you know what a parallel universe is?
Yes.
How to explain it? You have to be a quantum physics professor to try to explain a parallel universe. Well, right now we live in the fourth dimension, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we see. Visual acuity of a human being is 24 to 30 frames per second. That's our visual acuity. In other words, that's how we perceive things. A cat and a dog see things in another different reality, but it's our same reality, but they see things deeper than we do. Birds have a different acuity, so do bats. Okay? They're seeing into different universes that exist among us in our fourth dimension. When you film things in the infrared and the ultraviolet, you are seeing things that exist parallel to us, but in a different light spectrum. Okay, this is what NASA knows, and NASA does not tell this to the viewers, the people. They go, oh, those things that look like giant discs that are pulsating, that have a donut hole and they have a notch, oh, that's just ice debris. No, those are things that are living entities that exist in the realm of the invisible, in ultraviolet and in infrared, which is a reality that we can look at if we have the right instrument. Okay? So we have incredible... Okay, look at a microscope. That's a universe within itself that exists among us. But unless you have a microscope or an electron microscope, you don't see that stuff. You don't see the little microbes that are walking in your scalp or in your eyelashes or in your eyebrows, these little mites. You don't see those every day, do you, when you look in the mirror? Absolutely not. But that reality exists. It's a parallel universe that is right there in front of your face. You just don't see it unless you have a microscope. So this is the thing. Rods, I feel, the reason we're filming them is because a lot of these camcorders have an infrared autofocus type of thing, and it shines that infrared beam to them, and we catch them on camera. Because a lot of that footage that we have now is filmed in the infrared, and boy, there's squadrons of them out there. When you look at that Joe Rogan footage, you see squadron of these things, man. And this guy, his name is Sean Goutreau. He's out of New Orleans, Louisiana. He's been filming a lot of things using infrared cameras, high definition. Mm-hmm. Gosh, you got to see the footage, Christina. You will. People are going to see the new movie, Roswell Rods, and we're showing a lot of stuff that's invisible to the naked eye. And guess what? There's rods in there. There's a lot of things in there that you just do not see every day. So
wow. Well, I can't wait to see it. I mean, you'll definitely, once you get that out, you'll have to come back on the show and we'll have to talk about it. But we'll definitely, any of your videos that you're talking about, I will, post them on my pages as well, and then that way we, have everybody wants to see them, can take a look at them. And I encourage everybody, to go ahead and take a look at these videos, because just the ones that, I've seen of Jose's, were amazing. It really is crazy the way that you see these things. I mean, they are so fast that they, you can't really see it very clear into the, but you can see like these almost like little waves, like wings or something, that kind of propel these things through the air. I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, I'm telling you, I've learned actually, a lot about these, because I guess what I'm doing in my research on it, because other than you, there's a few people out there that have done some research into these rods, but it seems that even with them, they all tend to have different opinions of what they are. So it was very interesting to be able to, hear, what you thought about them and, as far as all this. But I still, going back to kind of this conspiracy thing, I really feel like, that you touched on something, and found something that they don't want us to know about yet. And so,
this, Christina, check this out. Look at it this way. Here we have a government that has been hiding the fact that UFOs are among us, that alien entities are among us. I mean, come on, it's plain and basic truth. They've been hiding that from us. They've been hiding the fact that the moon is not black and white. It's a full-color celestial body. Did you know about that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the moon. I did a movie called Celestial. I thought the moon was gray and black, just like everyone else, but it turns out it's a full-color celestial body. And when you see everything in full color, you start seeing depth of perception, and you start seeing towers, you see statues, you see all sorts of things on the moon. I did a movie called Celestial. I did a movie called Moon Rising that presents all this stuff. I mean, the moon is not black and white. And the reason it's black and white to us is because of our visual acuity. All right? And that's a total different show we're going to have to do. But here's the thing. Here we have a government and a military that wants to hide things from us. Imagine if it was out and the public found out that there's a species among us, namely rods, that can traverse the oceans, the skies, space, the moon, Mars. What do you think people are going to think? They're going to come to realize, wow, this is a life form I never heard of that is as mysterious as a shark. A shark, we don't know what they think. We don't know where they came from. All we know is that they're in the oceans and they eat people and seas, seals and stuff. But we don't know what they think. We don't even know if they can think at all. We don't know if they have any
there's new species that are being found every day that are from the sea that are also from land as well. I mean, so that, the jungles haven't even been fully, discovered, or looked at. So, I mean, there are things, in our oceans and in our things that they thought, no longer existed. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they happen to capture one on, some new submarine or something that can go down, deeper or farther, and everybody's amazed. But it just seems
But you're not hearing about these discoveries, okay? All you read about and see is Kim Kardashian and her new baby, the royals' new baby. You don't hear about this new discoveries. You don't see that. All you see is the crap that they want to feed you. They spoon-feed people all the dumb crap. They don't show you, hey, guess what, man? The moon is full color. There's a tower up there that's 6 miles high. It resembles a humanoid, all right? And they don't tell you that there's a tower that looks like the Eiffel Tower on the far side of the moon. They don't show you a crater on the far side of the moon called Lobachevsky that in 1962, Apollo 16 photographed it, and there was an excavation going on part of the crater in full color. And then they don't show you that 8 months later, at the same crater in the same spot where the excavation was going on, there is now a tower that's 6 miles high, 10 miles wide, that has been constructed there. You don't see that in the news, and you don't see it in full color. You don't even see a black and white photo of it. All you see is the royals, the Kardashians, Britney Spears, all that crap. That's all you see, man. You don't see the real stuff that's happening on our planet.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, we have a lot of talks as well, even on my other show about, even in the paranormal world. When I first started, I couldn't get anybody to go with me investigating, and then much less if I even told anybody that I, from very young could see spirits and communicate with them. They automatically looked at me as I was crazy and probably would never talk to me again. So, but then all of a sudden these shows started coming out where, it was like, all the ghost hunting shows, and then all of a sudden it just seemed like there was just everybody was believing that that's exactly how it was, that everything was demonic, that, everybody all of a sudden wanted to be a psychic, which, people who really do have these abilities, it's never really been, anything that they've really enjoyed, growing up, because it was something that had such a, stigma attached to it and such a bad, rap attached to it. So it's like the shows don't do a lot of service, but it just basically brainwashes them into thinking that things are a certain way. And, you're right. Our focus is on things that are really not important, and a lot of negativity. Like if you go on to the television, you rarely, like the news alone, all you see is all of the negative stuff happening everywhere. You rarely see anything, positive. It's all of the conditioning and the things, to make us all believe certain things. And, if they say it's true, that if they say there's no UFOs and they say that there's no such thing as life after death, that there's no such thing as, spirits staying behind or demonic attack, that people just say, okay, if they hear it enough times, they will just start to believe it. And, I myself, this is exactly the reason why I wanted my shows. Once again, not to be famous, not to say, hey, look at me, but to let other people know that, like, look, this stuff is real. And not everything that they say, in the media or, on the news is true. And, it's great to be able to have, other like-minded people come on my shows and tell their stories and what they've encountered, because going back to the beginning of this, where I started this show, was that, you are a serious researcher. This is something that you've been researching over 20 years. You didn't just kind of come out, fall off the back of the truck a couple months ago when it started becoming popular, and the UFO show started coming. You've been doing this for a very long time, pulling together all of the evidence, checking and rechecking and making sure that, what you're putting out is valid. And, to then turn around and have somebody, discount what you've done, and it kind of turned the tides for you and kind of turned a lot of people against you, that really, really bothers me. And I'm really hoping that, all of this new evidence you've gotten, your new film that's getting ready to come out, and exposure on shows just like mine, and, I'd be happy to pass your name around to other hosts, on my network and other hosts that I know, so that you can do more interviews and get this information out, because I think that it's, really important. And the fact that they're trying so hard to discredit you and not let this information be heard only makes it, like I have a big neon spotlight on, this is something that I need to pay attention to for my listeners, because I don't just listen to regular news. I go out there and look for the stories that make people question, that, bring things forward that need to have attention brought to them, things like that. It's not about me. It's about, the topics and the discussions and the discoveries.
Well, the reason I have been making movies, I was a filmmaker to begin with. I mean, I happen to have had 38 broad daylight sightings of UFOs, and I filmed them all. Okay, so I know I'm not nuts because the camera filmed what I saw. And it started for me in 2002 with ABC and Peter Jennings. They did a TV special on UFOs. It was a 2-hour special, and I go, wow, Peter Jennings is going to set the record straight. They're going to finally tell the truth about UFOs. Well, guess what, Christina? The Peter Jennings special started like gangbusters. They had all these UFO sightings. They were all rehashed crap. But they said, okay, this UFO appeared here. This is footage, blah, 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 blah. The first hour was great. But then the second hour was all skeptics and debunkers. So they took all the valuable stuff and they turned it into crap the second hour. So it left the audience confused. Okay?
Right.
So I go,
right.
You know what? Screw this crap. I'm going to do the real story on UFOs. And this is when I did UFO, the greatest story ever denied. And I present in that film, and I show you how our own military used to go on TV and ask people, look, if you see a flying saucer, as long as you report it to the authorities, the police, or your nearest airbase, you are doing a patriotic thing. I mean, they had colonels and generals and crap going on TV and on film and theaters, telling the audience, hey, if you see a flying saucer, you photograph it or you film it, bring it to the authorities, and you are doing a patriotic act. You're serving your country. But if you go to the news media or the press, you're going to get ridiculed. Okay? I had this in my movie, UFO, The Greatest Story Ever United. It shows you how our own government started the myth about UFOs. Before World War II, UFOs were a common thing, and our military, our government knew about them. Okay? Even in the 60s, John F. Kennedy goes on record. He says, hey, I've been told by the Air Force that UFOs are not a threat to national security. Okay? And that's how I opened my movie. John F. Kennedy saying that in the 60s. Okay, they're saying that UFOs are not a threat to national security, but they never said UFOs don't exist. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And so what happened is over the years, using that blanket statement, they turned UFOs into a myth that they don't exist, but they do exist. And UFO, The Greatest Story Ever Denied, my first film, is going to demonstrates that. It shows you how they did it, how they screwed us and our parents mentally by disguising UFOs as a ridicule thing. The Air Force and the military ridiculed people. In some cases, they killed people. They murdered people. Okay, so that's how it started, and I did it because I was tired of seeing the crap on TV where they have UFO stuff, and then they had the debunkers and the skeptics. And I go, you know what, I'm going to set the record straight, and that's what that film is about. And in doing so, I did a segment about the moon because, you know, there have been reports that astronauts saw UFOs. So I said, you know, the next documentary I'm going to make is going to be all about the moon conspiracy because I found out that 98% of the Apollo photographs were tampered with. They actually erased what's in the skies. So I did a movie called Moon Rising. And in that film, I was doing a shot where we traveled from Earth through the telescope, through the atmosphere, up to the moon. We leave Earth and we go right to the moon. So I called friends of mine that worked on Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica, special effects guys, and I said, hey, guys, where do you guys get all these fantastic replicas of the Earth, Saturn, Jupiter, and the moon? Because I have a movie I'm doing, and I want to have a 3D, and I'm not talking 3D glasses. I'm talking a CGI, you know, special effect. I have a 3D program called Cinema 4D where I can build a sphere, and then I wrap the moon's skin around it. I said, where do you guys get all these fabulous, realistic Earths and Saturn and planets, and you do the solar system? They go, oh, we go to mapaplanet.org. That's M-A-P-A planet, mapaplanet.org. Your listeners can go there right now. Click on the gray moon, and I did that back in 2009 before I finished Moon Rising. Click on that, and then it opens up another landing page, and you see 10 different thumbnails. In the center of the top row, you're going to see natural color of the moon. Now, up until that time, I was just like every other sleeple, every other bozo out there. I thought the moon was gray and black and white, piece of rock. But here you have NASA photography on the United States Geological Survey. Who would have thought? Okay, you click there, and you see the full-color photography of the moon taken by the Clementine mission in 1994. That changed my perspective on the moon forever.
And
the
so
moon
do you
is
feel
not
the
black
same?
and white.
Do you feel the same way about Mars?
Well, yeah. I mean, come on, man. Now, here's the deal. The Chinese, India, and Japanese, they went to the moon recently. They spent billions of dollars for what? To go to the moon and collect moon rocks and moon dust? No. There's something there that we discovered, we brought back with us. They're not going to spend billions of dollars to go to the moon, a gray piece of rock. No, they went there for a specific reason. Are you kidding me? Now, China, and you're going to see this in my movie Celestial, all right? Go to thecelestialmovie.com or type in Celestial. You can see it for free on YouTube right now. Do it before I take it off. But the Chinese went to the moon, and they did a full high-digital, high-definition reconnaissance of the moon. They mapped the moon. And these maps, by the way, are the whole skin of the moon. They take a circular photography and they flatten it out. And when you wrap that around a 3D sphere, then you've got a replica of the moon. Well, at the press conference, the Chinese scientists are standing in front of this big tapestry. It's like 40 feet long, whatever, having a major press conference. They have a shot of the moon's polar north and south poles and the flattened out skin of the moon. And this tapestry is in full color, okay? So the moon's surface is full color. But then the very next day, the photograph that was released to the public of the same thing is in black and white. Why? Because in black and white, you have no perspective. You don't have depth of perception in black and white. In full color, you start seeing things. Okay? We see things in color. You see depth. All right? In black and white, you see nothing. What appears to be
everything looks dead.
Dust. Yeah. On the moon, there's craters that have white dust on there. Well, guess what? In full color, those are clouds. Okay? So there's a big major difference. So guys that are listening in, go to youtube.com/Jose Escamilla and type and watch the movie Celestial. It's going to blow your minds, man.
And I'm definitely, like I said, I will get all the links and I will put them, I'm getting info from the chat room that people are wanting the link. So everybody can go to my page, which is facebook.com/Paranormal Investigator 916. Or you can also go to the Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/Alien UFOs Beyond. And so we just don't have the and sign in there. And that's the page for Facebook. And I will, on both pages, put up all of the links to Jose's new, or actually all of the ones that he's already done the movies. And I'll put those up there. And then as soon as his new one comes out, we'll make sure to let everybody know and keep everybody updated, because I think that just from the videos that I have seen, they're pretty amazing, and you learn a lot. Now, this whole thing with the moon, I'm very, very interested actually in checking that one out, because you are right. Being able to see the moon, if it was actually in color, would change your perception, because we see, we attribute, certain colors to, equals to life on a planet. So seeing it in black and white, or seeing it, maybe all red or whatever, to us, then they tell us, well, it's red and it's, the temperature is this, this is how hot it is. But, how do we really know how hot it is? They're just telling us once again, and they'll say there's nobody, on that planet. We know that for sure. But yet, now they're finding planets, that are way outside of our, galaxies, that they're saying are possibly habitable. So, it does really make you wonder.
They've known that all along. They just never released it. Now, here's the thing. India went to the moon in 2007. And in 2008, India announced, hey, guess what? We found water on the moon. Well, guess what? NASA was slapped in the face, because in 1971, NASA knew that there was water on the moon. 1971. But they didn't make that announcement to the public. They kept us in the dark until India went there and said, hey, there's water on the moon. And then NASA says, oh, yeah, we know that. We've known that. Yeah, sure, idiots. It took another country that is not part of the game that disclosed that information. All right? And now when they bombed the moon, when they crashed a device on the moon on one of the polar areas, they're trying to destroy evidence or stuff that's up there that they don't want to share with other countries. People don't realize what's going on. They're in a freaking daze, Christina. Everyone is thinking about the Kardashians and the new royal baby, okay? They don't realize that this object that orbits Earth has life on it. The moon, you go see the movie Celestial. Type it into YouTube, Celestial. Before I take it off, I might be taking it off in a couple of weeks because I'm going to start a pay-per-view thing on my website. I'm tired of being broke. But the movie Celestial, check it out while it's there for free, guys. Check it out. You're going to be blown away.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as I said, I've seen some of them, and I would definitely take advantage of them to see them free before they, he does have to make, some kind of a living. Because, as I said, all of this, bad publicity, from these so-called, alternative reasons that they can explain, his research, it just kind of blows my mind. But, it has really affected him because when he first came out with all this stuff, I mean, people everywhere were wanting him to speak at, their conferences, their events. They wanted to interview him, and then all of a sudden, Monster Quest and all this stuff comes out, and then all of a sudden, everybody's, talking crap about the guy, about how he's hoaxing and he's trying to, pull a fast one over on the UFO community and the world. And, to me, it's just absolutely crazy. So, I mean, take the opportunity, take a look at these videos, make, a decision for yourself. Do the research. I mean, that's what I tell people to do. I'm not telling you to believe me. I'm not telling you to believe my guests. I'm saying get the information, do your research, get all the facts, and then make a decision. And if you still choose to...
Christina, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but here's what your listeners need to understand about me and about yourself. I am so proud of you, Christina, for enduring what you've done, what you've been through, and continuing the effort to get the truth out there. And it's very important that people realize, look, we're not trying to pound it into your head that this is this and that is that. All we do is a service to you guys, is we just present the evidence as it presents itself. I'm not trying to say that I know what rods are because I have no clue. I'm just showing you what is there. The moon. I was just like every other guy, man. Oh, the moon is gray and that. I never even paid attention to the moon when I was a teenager. I was a rock and roll guy, smoked a lot of pot, did LSD, did everything, I mean, I didn't pay attention, just like most of the youth of today. They don't give a crap about the moon. All they care about is, what Britney Spears or Justin Bieber or whatever are doing, right. The Kardashians, that crap. They don't care. They could care less about the moon. But if they realize that on the moon there are bases, there are alien bases, or maybe they're not even alien. Maybe they're Nazis. I mean, we don't know. The thing is, someone or something has the capabilities of building a 6-mile-high, 10-mile-wide structure in 6 months out of nothing. Someone has that capability. Donald Trump can't even do that. Okay? With all the money in the world, that sucker can't build a 6-mile-high building 10 miles wide in 8 months. Are you kidding me? Right. And this happened on the moon, and it's there. I mean, people just realize that they need to realize, look, all we're doing is just presenting you what is there. We don't profess to know who did it or why they did it. All we're sending, the messages we're sending to you and the videos the films I'm making is that here it is. Here's what happened. I don't have a clue either. I'm just presenting you the evidence as it is. So check it out. At least check it out once. And if you feel I'm full of crap, fine. That's your opinion. I don't care about that, but at least look at it once. Check it out one time. All right? I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not trying to turn you into a UFO maniac. None of that crap. And I don't want your friends to make fun of you. I'm not that kind of person. Okay? I'm just a filmmaker. I want you to check out what I'm presenting. It's right there for you. I'm just putting it in a cohesive way that you understand.
Right. And it's some great information as well. And so we're coming up, and we got about 4 minutes left of the show. This has been a great 2 hours. I want to really thank you, a lot again, Jose, because I know that, you ended up with a toothache today. We were having technical difficulties. We had all kinds of stuff going on. You weren't feeling well, but you still got here. And, sometimes this kind of stuff happens when, important stuff is supposed to get out, and so, but we forward through and, we made it here 2 hours later. We've got a lot of information out. But I really want, before we go, for you to be able to give any websites, any blogs, your Facebook address, any of the things that you want to before we end the show.
Okay, very basic. Go to youtube.com / and type in my name, Jose, and the last name is ESCAM, as in Mike, ILLA. youtube.com / Jose Escamilla. Go to tblnfilms.com, and that's 4 letters, T as in Tom, B as in Bob, L as in Larry, N as in Nancy, films, FILMS.com. And there you have it. I mean, you can also go to moonrising-themovie.com, thecelestialmovie.com, but you'll find all that. You'll find all the links when you go to tblnfilms.com. And check it out, man. Believe me, I am not trying to convert anybody. I'm not trying to turn you into a aluminum-wearing freaking freak UFO maniac. I don't even wear aluminum on my head, okay? I wear baseball caps because I'm bald. But aside from that, plus that's how I promote my movies. But just check it out, man. Come on. It's just like going to a basketball game. Until you see a live basketball game, you don't know the essence of being there. It's the same thing, man. It's the same thing.
That's right. That's right. All right, Jose. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm glad that we were able to get so much information out. Please make sure to keep me updated on your new movie coming out. I'd be happy to, help you to promote it on my pages. And, I want to thank all of my listeners because, once again, without you, I have no show. So, you guys are the ones that keep me going. You're the ones that make me realize that, this is the information needs to keep getting out. And as long as you're, willing to listen, I'm willing to bring you the shows each and every week. So I will hope that you will be back next week. Find me at Paranormal Investigator 916 on Facebook. You can email me at paranormalinvestigator916@gmail.com, as well as you can find the show on Facebook, Aliens, UFOs, Beyond. All right. Once again, thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight. Next Wednesday, we will be back at 6 p.m. on DTM Wicked Radio, and we want to thank so much to the network for having me on the network and giving me a new home. I've been very, very happy here. And once again, it's been a great night. I always love to be able to bring whatever information I can forward to the public and give them the opportunity to make a decision for themselves on, do they believe it or not. I try to bring you interesting topics and fabulous guests just like Jose, and we will be back next week for the next show. Good night, everyone.